Today on In the Woodyard, we're going to talk about how you can be more productive making firewood. Here we go. So I get asked all the time, how in the world do I get as much done as I do in the short amount of time that I have to work? Because there's a lot of days I only work a few hours and I try to get as much done as I can. And people are just asking me all the time, like, I can't believe, you made 2 full cords you cut or stacked or split or whatever it is. And number one that I'd have to say, the most important thing, most important tool that you can have when it comes to being productive, got to get your mind right. Got to be like Cool Hand Luke. Got to get your mind right. If you've ever seen Cool Hand Luke, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to see it. One of the best movies ever. Basically in the movie, he tries escaping several times and they break him. They try to get his mind right, and he basically gets beaten and worked to death. And he says, I got my mind right, boss. Something you needed to see. Really, it's all about not looking at the whole picture, looking at little pieces at a time. The way I look at it is like if you're looking at the whole forest and you think you got to cut it all down, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to probably not be all enthused about it. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's going to be so much work. I just look at what's in front of me. I look at one piece at a time. I cut one piece at a time. I cut that log. Oh, there's another one. I cut that log. Because if I look at a whole log truck full that I would get in that would have 12, 14, 15 full cords on it, and I want to get it all cut up, I'd look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. Break it into small, bite-sized pieces. There's an old saying that if you want to eat an elephant, which you can do, you just do it one bite at a time. That's how I look at it. So that's what you got to do. Get your mind right. So another thing that I do all the time is when I have a big project ahead of me, I make a game out of it. I literally try to make it as fun as I can. By making a game out of it, it becomes a challenge. It becomes something that I can break down, like I said, into smaller pieces and attack one thing at a time, then the next thing, then the next thing, and look at it as a timed event a lot of times. I look and say, well, I've got 8 hours. How much can I get done? I look at the pile and I think, well, I think I can split all of it in 8 hours. And so it's almost like a game, like a challenge to myself. Can I get it all done? And I just go to it. And I watch my watch, I'm looking at the time, I'm looking to see, how much I got left, how much did I do, how's it going? Because I'm recording a lot of times, I look at the clips in between there so I see, oh yeah, I got a lot done. So a lot of times I'm doing time lapses, so I see the progression happen very fast, which is nice because it makes you look like you did a lot of work, which you did, but it took a long time. You guys see a lot of times, I'll do a video, it'll be 15, 16, 20 minutes maybe, and that's 8 hours worth of work some days. So it looks like I did a lot, but that's because I put a lot of time into it. It didn't just happen. So that's one thing, make a game out of it. And I look at it as, when I make a game out of it, we're gonna break this down into something that you can easily remember. I call it games, G-A-M-E-S, games. So the G, I call it gamification. The gamification is that how much can I get done in an hour? How much can I get done in 2 hours? How big of a pile can I get done today? And then the next day, and then the next day. So I'm challenging myself like a game. It's like making a small accomplishments that add up to a big amount. So gamification, that's the G. The A part is autonomy. What I do is I make a shift in my mind to basically look at it, and to not like I have to do it, that I get to do it. When I see older guys that are beyond their peak as far as doing things, my dad is a good example. He can't really do firewood anymore. He's got a bad arm. He's losing his strength. He's in his mid-80s now. And I know he still wants to do it. Or I've seen guys that are injured and they can't work like they want to because your health is huge. So I look at it as that it's not like I have to do it, I get to do it. Because there will be a day that I won't be able to do it. So I'm looking at this thinking to myself, work while I can. Work while I can, because there's gonna be a day I'm gonna be sitting around, and my brother Ken and I talked about, so there's gonna be a day we're gonna be sitting around and say, remember when, back in the day when we did all that? There's going to be a day, because I know some of you that watch the channel are at that point. You're at the point where you can't do it anymore, but you still enjoy living vicariously through someone like me that can still do it. So I know the end is coming, and I'm already into the winter of my life. You know, you got your spring, you've got your summer, you got your fall of your life. I'm at the end of my fall already. I'm already entering the winter of my life, the 4 seasons that you get in life. Because you look at each season as a spring is about 20 years, your summer's about 20 years, your fall's about 20 years, and I'm 60 right now, and then your winter's about 20 years. And now the winter, you're going downhill, which is what's happening. So I'm doing what I can while I can. So I enjoy it a lot. And a lot of people look at a job and they think, oh, you know, it's just so much. No, you're looking at it the wrong way. Like I said in the first one, you got to get your mind right. You got to enjoy it. Look forward to the challenge. Be glad that you got a lot done. Look at the accomplishment. And that's one of the reasons why firewood is so great. You can see what you've done each day. You know that everything you put into it was a huge accomplishment. Get your mind right. So the M in the game stands for mastery. See how efficient you can become. See how good you can get at something. Like when I'm cutting with the saw, I think about where the saw is going. I think about how efficient I can be with the cuts, how I can go from one cut right into the next cut, how I can use the tip of the saw to throw a chunk of wood out of the way, or how I can flip it to the side. So I'm looking at, when I'm splitting, how fast can I move the piece around with only a partial stroke on the ram, pop that piece of wood off, shove it off, shove the next one in. So I'm trying to see how quick I can get at it and try to get very proficient. If I look at it as something that's hard to do, it's going to be harder. If I look at it as a challenge, how can I make it easier? How can I get better at it? You can see incremental things happen that you get better at it. So the mastery is a big thing. Getting as good as you can at something. So that's the L. The next one is the E in games, the environment. Make your workplace a good place to be. If it's raining out, put a pop-up shelter out. Put a raincoat on. Get a bunch of extra gloves. So your gloves are going to get wet. You can change them out as they get wet. If it's sunny and hot out, pop-up shelter again. That works really nice. If you've got a piece of equipment that you hate working on that's a piece of junk, sell it and get a better piece of equipment. I used to have the Glacier wood splitter, which had a cycle time of about a week when the ram would go in and out. It wasn't a week, but it was like, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 seconds, whatever it was. It was like an eternity. Well, then I upgraded. I got the Easton Made Ultra. The ram on that cycle time in and out is 4 seconds. Having better equipment makes the job so much more fun. So equipment is huge. A chainsaw. If you've got a small, as my brother Ken would say, a small weenie saw, a little 30, 40 cc saw, you're not going to cut very much wood. Yeah, it might be easy to operate, but you're not going to be able to work very fast because the saw is slow and doesn't have a lot of power. If you get a saw that's faster, got really good sharp chain on it, and you learn how to operate that efficiently, you get a 60, 70, 80, 90 cc saw, you can cut a lot of wood faster. So those are the things. Having good equipment also on your body, having a good pair of work boots that are comfortable, having good gloves, having the right kind of clothes to wear so that you're comfortable, having chaps so that you're protected, ear protection. I wear ear plugs and muffs so you know the sound doesn't get to me. I want to save my hearing, so trying to make it enjoyable. That is a huge part of it. Make it fun. The S part of it is the social part of it. Make firewood with someone. Find a friend, find a relative, son, daughter, brother, sister, whoever. Someone that you can make firewood with makes it way more fun than doing it by yourself. Part of the reason why I do the videos on YouTube is I get to know a lot of you people that watch the videos and we communicate back and forth and talk about it. And I know that's part of what you guys are doing while you're here. It's a social part of it, which is kind of weird because cutting firewood, working in the woods is generally pretty much it's a solo type activity, but having someone with you makes it so much more fun. I always talk about how my dad, when he was big into deer hunting, he liked to be alone when he would go deer hunting and live in his camper by himself for a week and hunt. that gets old real fast. My brothers and I, we like to go together and hunt. So you kind of go to your own area, and then when you come back at the end of the day, you got something to talk about. You can tell about, you know, the stories about what each other saw. You can talk about what happened. And when you're working with someone cutting firewood, it's kind of a similar thing. You talk about things that happened, how your saw is working, not working. Maybe try each other's equipment out, makes it more fun. Work together. There's an old saying, as a lot of you know, that many hands make any job easier and go faster. So help really makes a big difference. That's why I'm really open to anybody that wants to come to the Woodyard and work, because I get to know another person's techniques. I get to know their ideas, their ways of doing it, try their equipment out, and getting the helping hand is really nice. So the social part is good. So that's games. That's what I call it anyway. Make a game out of cutting firewood. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna load up a face cord, or a third of a cord if you prefer, of firewood. We're gonna go deliver it right now. All right, so I just backed up to, there's some ash right here that I'm gonna throw in, because this is for mixed hardwood. So I'm gonna throw in a little bit of ash, we're gonna throw a little bit of maple in, and then maybe some other stuff too. So gonna throw some wood in. So what I was just talking about, telling you guys about getting your mind right, a couple of the things that I didn't mention that are pretty obvious to me is that when you're doing something really hard, you got to look at the end result while you're doing it, so that you're not looking at the task in front of you. So right now I'm going to be throwing this wood in. This was all wood that I got for free, tree service wood, all of this. So I didn't pay anything for this other than my time. So in a face cord, I can split it, a face cord of wood. Well, I should back up. I can cut a face cord of wood in about 15-20 minutes, maybe less, say 15 minutes. Then to split it, I can split it in about 20 minutes. So just say we're at 45 minutes right there. This stuff I never stack, so I don't have any additional stacking time. It's gonna take me about maybe 6-7 minutes to throw a load on if I go real fast and don't talk. So say it's 10, that puts me at, say, like around 40 minutes, something like that. It's gonna take me about 10 minutes to drive to where I gotta deliver it. So just extend it to an hour. Say I got an hour of time into it, it's gonna take me maybe tops 5-6 minutes to unload it, which is about all it ever takes. And then they're gonna hand me $120. So I'm gonna have about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe, total time into this. That's pretty good dollars per hour. So if you got a hard task, look at what it's gonna pay you and get better at calculating that amount out. So look at the results of what you're gonna get. Now, the hidden things that you don't always see when it comes to firewood, which is one of the main reasons I do this, is exercise. I started doing firewood years ago, selling it, I should say. I've always done firewood pretty much my whole life. I've cut some firewood, but I really got into it about 8-9 years ago because I wanted the exercise. And I thought, well, maybe I can make a few bucks while I get my exercise. So, you know, a lot of people go to a gym and work out, and they pay hundreds of dollars to go do that. And they go lift weights, which accomplishes nothing. I'm sure it helps because they get exercise, but it doesn't, you're just not really nothing to show for it other than your health and maybe some muscles. By doing what I do, I'm making money and I'm getting fresh air, getting some sunshine, getting outside, feeling good, sleeping good, eating good. Everything works. So those are all really good things about it. We're gonna go to another spot. So here's a bunch of maple from a pile over here that I cut over a year ago now. So this stuff has been sitting out in the field here drying, and is excellent firewood. So you're gonna get ash, maple, and then there's some stuff right there. It's just a mix of stuff. I'm gonna throw that in too. A little bit of aspen right here. And I think there's also some basswood in here. It's real light, I can tell. Yeah, that's basswood. So just a mix of stuff. This is all stuff that is nice to sell because I'm kind of mixing it up for people that don't care what they get. They just want a mix of wood. And I'm kind of getting rid of the stuff here that I would have to move otherwise to the new Woodyard, which I have been moving some stuff there. Look at there. There's a load of wood in my truck. Face cord or third of a cord, however you like to say it. Or you could even call it a rick if you really like. Whatever you want to call it. It's wood in the truck. It's oversized truckload. That's what it is. There we go. We're going down the road. We're going to deliver it right now. I'm back in the woodyard from my delivery, and as you can see, it's starting to get dark out already. Now that it's November, it seems to get dark out like, I don't know, noon. It's ridiculous. That's it for today, folks. You know what to do. Poke the buttons. Tomorrow I'll be back in the woodyard doing work, 5:30 a.m. You're going to be here too. Between now and then, you're going to my channel. There's 800 videos waiting for you to watch right now. Good night, Irene.